So I'm having this really interesting conversation on LinkedIn in this thread, and it prompted me to do this video today. And it's all about what I call the affordable housing myth. And that's centered around the concept of why even people call it affordable. After all, we can only build housing so cheap. And we can make smaller housing. We can also make shared housing where like some amenities are shared, like a kitchen and a bathroom, so the overall house is cheaper per unit. But the problem is that's really subsidized housing, because what we're doing is that a city or a state is taking on bonds. That's becoming part of the tax charge to the people who live there, potentially pushing more people into homelessness. It's also a long-term kind of commitment because from year to year, we're talking about maintenance cost, management costs, and also potentially the need to, kind of oversee the people who are in these places. So not just the management of the facility itself, but also the management of the people. So really affordable housing is what I call subsidized housing. And that's okay. I mean, we can decide to set aside money for it. But the important thing is to realize that subsidized housing is a burden. It's not like this money's been invented out of thin air. Potentially, we're opening up a new apartment complex, which is not going to generate taxes for the city or the state because it's gotten tax breaks. So back to the thread. So I'm on LinkedIn, and these people are trying to suggest that, well, the cities where it's more expensive to live are where people are getting pushed out of the market and they're becoming homeless. And I just don't see that for a number of reasons. One of the key things that I point out for comparing them is that you look at a city like Houston. Houston is expensive, but they don't really have a homelessness issue, whereas the cities in California and Seattle, Washington, they do. And the fundamental difference is that you have the cities in the West, which are sanctuary cities. So they're kind of more conducive to what I call the human condition. Public assistance is going to be greater there. If you're a person who's struggling and maybe are already homeless, you're more likely to move to a blue city or a sanctuary city because you kind of know, hey, maybe I can get away with some behavior that a more strict, red city might not let me get away with. And also I might be able to get support and wraparound services that I need without potentially working for them, but rather than being given them. Connecting with that is also when you look at incarceration rates. Red states have higher incarceration rates. And here in Portland and in Oregon, that's the exact opposite, because back in 2005, there was a Supreme Court case which basically said we can't criminalize homelessness. As a result, not only does the state have this kind of like natural behavioral health care support, trend, but we also have like these legal reasons that drive our policies here. So when you move to Portland, you're not going to be able to, if you camp on the street, you're not going to be put into jail. That's kind of a given. And people know that, and they come from other areas. And I've witnessed this personally by people that I've met. They've moved to Portland because they think it's going to be easier here. We just don't have the ability to manage the influx. But here's one final thing, and it's kind of the smoking gun in this whole argument. If affordable housing is the issue, it doesn't explain the gender inequality. And by that I mean, a male is twice as likely to be homeless than a female. That's in despite of the fact that men make 25% more, right? So if men are making more money, they're more likely to be employed by this like 52 to 48%. There are more women in America, I think it's 52 to 48%. The point being is that if it was this financial issue, you would see more women experiencing homelessness, yet men are. And why? Well, men can be antisocial, where women have estrogen, which is naturally nurturing. And now I'm kind of getting into my full social emotions framework, which drives emotional alignment. Women tend to be nicer, right? As a result, you can cohabitate with them. You can let them couch surf. They're more likely to be, get along with people. They're more likely to be able to have access to communal housing, right? Shared housing or apartments or at least couch surfing. Whereas men can be difficult. And to me, that kind of connects with the homelessness issue. It's not so much that these men can't afford homes. It's just that one, their income area is reduced because they're less employable. They're difficult to work with. And also the fact that they can't take these cheaper housing situations, therefore they'd have to pay more. You add those two things, they're more likely to be homelessness. So I'm going to really push the fact that homelessness is really a behavioral wellness issue. If it wasn't, today we'd be able to move people into spare rooms, basements, and what do you call it, and maybe garages if we fix them up. instead of building affordable housing, because affordable housing is so much more expensive. It takes a lot more to get done. There's really a whole bunch of management associated with it and all the tax issues that I was talking about before. So really, the solution that I'm pushing for Portland is, can we create a structured, scalable behavioral wellness system so we can take people who are currently living on the street and prepare them socially so that they can and move into the cheaper and more quickly to set up communal living, what I'll call kind of co-housing, and also continue to offer that behavioral wellness all along. So we just don't place them into one of these houses, but we also manage them and the people that they live with to make sure if there is conflict, help them resolve it, help them, work through the issues so they can continue and maintain that housing there. So to me, non-affordable housing issue, behavioral wellness issue, that's how we're going to solve homelessness.